Hi, AT from CNC at Home. I was at the MakerCase site and I happened across the sliding lid box and thought to myself, why have I not done this before? I don't know if it's something new that I just hadn't seen. I was fascinated by it, and so I thought I would give it a try. Kind of one of the cool things is you can click here and it will open the lid so you can see what it looks like open. Then you can say close the lid. I had an idea for this box to hold a deck of playing cards. So I took a deck of cards and I measured it up. I got 65 millimeters by 92 millimeters by 17 millimeters. And to make this work, I wanted that to be my inside dimensions. So I switched the parameter to inside. And I didn't want it to be a super snug fit, so I added a few millimeters on each one of the dimensions. So for my width, then instead of being the 65, I did 70. And then for the height, instead of being 17, I went to 22. Added 5 millimeters to the height. And then for the depths, instead of 92, I did 97. And that box should work, hopefully. I am using craft plywood for this project, so it is approximately 3 millimeters in thickness, so I will use that. I'm going to use the default finger size of 8, and then all I need to do is download the plans. Let's go head over to Lightburn and take a look at that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Here we are in Lightburn, and you can see that there's just a whole bunch of wasted space. Doing a preview might even make this show up better. Let's do a quick preview. Here in the preview, it's a lot easier to see this. There's all of this wasted space. There's all these little parts. They should all be moved closer together. It's interesting that this is how they output the SVG file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to group all of these smaller pieces together, get kind of these medium sized together, get the lid and the bottom grouped together so that it's using up the space more efficiently. Here's what it looks like once I'm done. Let me zoom in on that. As you can see, the efficiency is quite a bit better. There's a little bit of wasted material here, but that's going to happen. I've also bumped a lot of these things right up against each other so that we can use a single cut, for instance, down this piece instead of doing a cut for the bottom and a cut for the lid. It'll just do this vertical one once. The way we do that is going into the optimization, and this bottom setting where it says remove overlapping lines, we just turn that on. And then in the preview, we can see how that works. Okay, so over on this side, you can see where it's missed a bunch of these lines. When it does the lid, it'll pick those up. It's doing the same over here. It's just a little harder to see. All right, there, it did that. And that's exactly what we want it to do. We want it to minimize the amount of duplicate burning, and that's what this setting does. So again, that's under optimize settings, and we remove overlapping lines. We'll also want to set our material to be the correct kind of material. I'm going to put my tool later up on top. Doesn't really matter. Going to my material library, and for plywood, and this one is going to be 3 millimeter cut through. I'll go ahead and assign that. I do want to put a label on the lid, so I'm going to quick do some text. I'll just go over to my text tool, and I'm going to have it say AT's cards. If I can type, there we go. And we'll just bring that down here. And I want it rotated, so I'm going to press the period, which will rotate it 90 degrees. I'm going to shift select this the lid and then just have it center up on that. And that should work well. I'll go ahead and say that I want to use my dark etch setting. I will assign that to this. And we should all be set to burn. I want that to burn first before this gets cut out, so I'll move that up. We'll do a quick preview and make sure this is doing what we want. All right, one thing I noticed right off the bat, my default is to go left to right, so 0 degrees on my burn angle. I think this will burn faster if I burn that at 90 degrees, so I don't have all of this empty space in here. We can see that if I turn on the travel, all of this motion in between here is kind of wasted. So right now we're at 39 minutes. Let's make that quick change. So on the fill, I'm just going to change that to 90 degrees. And then we'll go back to our preview. And yeah, we've saved a couple minutes. So not huge, but it's something. This looks good. Let's go ahead and send that to the laser. We've got all these pieces. I just need to figure out how they go together. How hard could that be? See if we can get this thing assembled. Uh-oh. I did this one backwards. The box turned out pretty well, given all the mistakes that I did. I'm not even sure I can remember all the mistakes. I did the left and the right sides both as one side, so that was a mistake. I needed this piece on top, not bottom, so I'd already glued this on, so I couldn't just pull it off and put it on the other side. So I just redid the text on here, got that glued in. I also went through with some wood filler. I don't know if you can see this very well on here. I've got this filled in with the wood glue. I'll be curious to see what that looks like painted. I still need to fill in a little bit more here. I also filled in this entire box, all the finger joints on the outside. I filled in with wood filler just to see what it looked like. There's some gaps still here. I'll have to do a second coat and get that sanded. Something I'm going to try. This turned out to be a really cool project, even though my cards don't fit because the sizing is literally the inside dimension. It's not taking this little rail into account, which is almost 5 millimeters. So I pretty much did a second box and increased the width by 10 millimeters. So we can see side by side, it is just a little bit bigger. The second box then does fit my deck of cards in there. And it's so weird, sometimes it seems to bind, and then other times it slides in real nicely. I did sand this one quite a bit so it's thinner. My cards do fit in here. This one turned out a little bit nicer now that I know all the things not to do. Even the joints here, these 45s, they're kind of loose on here, but they're nice and tight on this one, so that's me putting it together. All in all, kind of a fun project, nice little box. If you need to hold something, if you like this project, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content of our channel, think about subscribing, as that always helps us out. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects. Oops.